Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I, as a citizen of Pakistan, feel a sense of privilege and an honor to be addressing on this forum today. And preceding me, the Honorable Air Marshal and the Honorable former Secretary of Ministry of Foreign Affairs have made extraordinarily well laid out cases for the state of Junagadh being an integral part of Pakistan. In fact, if we go back to history, when the House of Commons in 1947 decided that British India would have independence, and then subsequently they decided that the Indian subcontinent would be divided into two sovereign states. So one new sovereign state or dominion was to be called Bharat or India, and the other was to be called Pakistan, West and East. The basis on which the thing was done primarily was for the two sovereign states, Muslim majority and Hindu majority areas. However, the 565 states, princely states as they were called, with their rulers were given the discretion to decide which of the two sovereign states they would like to join. Of the many states which did not decide, there were three primarily, and they were extremely important because Hyderabad by far was the richest state, having revenues of 9 crore at that time, which could be $9 billion today, the richest state of British India. The other was, of course, Jammu and Kashmir, and the third, Junagadh. Junagadh was, I think, the fifth richest state as far as the revenues were concerned. So these three states' status was unresolved unless the rulers decided to opt either for one or the other. As you know what happened in Kashmir, but today we have to really speak about Junagadh. And in Junagadh, what transpired was that the then Nawab of Junagadh, he in his wisdom, and wisdom is always collective thinking of the people, of the community which dwells there, decided that they would like to opt for the sovereign state of Pakistan led by the Honorable Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. They signed the Instrument of Accession mid-September 1947. The Quaid did not accept it immediately. He gave it great thought because he knew there was these two other pending states. There was the state of Jammu and Kashmir, and there was also the state of Hyderabad. And Hyderabad was extremely important at that time. Unfortunately, after the annexation of Hyderabad by the Indian troops, 13 or 14 months after the Independence Act. But at that time, Hyderabad was crucial, and as far as my memory through some history books goes, in the first budget of India, of Pakistan, 1947, and this is crucial information that I'll share with you, our budget was in total of East and West Pakistan 70 crores, 70 crore, 700 million. And the Pakistan Treasury did not have that cash. And who bridged that cash? Was the Nizam of Hyderabad, whose financial advisor was the then Audit and Accounts gentleman, seconded by the Government of India to the state of Hyderabad. as the chief financial advisor, because Hyderabad was a very rich state. And in his wisdom, the then Nizam of Hyderabad decided to accrue to the Pakistan treasury a very large amount, which bridged the bat, as did the Nawab of Amir of Bahalpur, two of them. And there were three other personalities. Patel, of whom the Air Marshal has spoken, a very, I don't have a word to describe his character, who, much more than cunning, a man who used every tactic under the world to betray those whom he wanted to annex. And through that kind of scheming, he had told Nehru and his colleagues who were opposed to the partition of Pakistan, let them go on their own. They will come running back to us because their treasury will be dry and we will withhold a lot of the military equipment which under Field Marshal Auchinleck was to be divided on a 1-3, 2-3 basis, and much of that was withheld. Hence, we did not have a capital functioning. Karachi was a makeshift capital, New Delhi was a continuing capital. We did not have a military headquarter. Subsequently, we made our own 3 headquarters. So we were handicapped, disadvantaged from day one to run a nation state. We have forgotten all of that. And then we have a multitude of refugees, nearly 10 million, who had to be settled. We have forgotten all of that. And in that process, the Honorable Governor General, the Honorable Prime Minister, and the Honorable members of the Cabinet, and there were only 6 members of the Federal Cabinet at that time, East and West. And they, in their wisdom, had to decide all these tricky diplomatic issues. We took up that case of Hyderabad to the United Nations. If my memory serves me correct, January 1, 1948. At the same time, Mr. Nehru took up the Kashmir case. We did not go to United Nations on Kashmir, it was Nehru, because a civil war had erupted. And when the instrument of accession was signed by Maharaja Hari Singh to the Indian government, nobody has seen that document till today. Neither in New Delhi, nor in London, nor in Kashmir. So many people, and most of all, the person who's written most about Kashmir, Alistair Lamb, in his 4 books, possibly the most well-read scholar, in my opinion, on the Kashmir dispute, has raised this issue several times. But anyway, on that basis, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru took the case of Kashmir to the United Nations. And as the Air Marshal has said, that this may be the time. And I think we, the government of Pakistan, and it will go to the credit of Honorable Prime Minister Imran Khan, who in the last time he was addressing the General Assembly 2 years ago, UNGA session which takes place every autumn in New York, perhaps, I hope he goes this time, and it will be to Pakistan's credit and success if we can raise the Junagadh issue again at the United Nations. And this is how the international community will come to recognize that this is a not disputed area, this is Pakistan territory. And as the Honorable Ambassador quite rightly said, India has annexed 7, 8 places. Bhopal, Sikkim, Goa, 3 or 4 others he named. And Goa, of course, was a Portuguese colony, not British. But in the meantime, Jodhpur was one of them. So we in Pakistan today, our diplomacy is at really, and the dossier that the Foreign Minister and 2 of the colleagues, Honorable Shireen Mazari Sahaba, 3 days ago presented this very well worked out dossier where the Indians have been creating trouble for Pakistan, the state of Pakistan, constantly bringing out kind of things to undermine Pakistan. In fact, I read an article in the New York Times 2 days ago faulting United States foreign policy for the first time. One scholar has said that why did we take on India as the main partner on Afghanistan? And that policy, where Ashraf Ghani was supposed leader of the Afghans, perhaps backed by the Indian Foreign Office and others, how he just withered away. And now they're saying, some scholars, and there's going to be a great hearing in the United States Congress, which has started yesterday when the Secretary of State of the United States government was asked, how come you disappeared overnight? The United States invested more than $2 trillion, lost 2,400 Americans, but they never mention the hundreds of thousands of Afghans who have sacrificed their lives. And of course, we Pakistanis lost 70 to 75,000 of our martyrs. That doesn't come into any consideration in the United States Congress when they go through with the analysis of why the United States policy after 20 years in Afghanistan has failed. Conscience. Yes. Where might is right, there is no conscience. When might occupies, India has occupied Junagadh. India occupied Hyderabad. India has partially, illegally occupied all these places, and most of all, Jammu and Kashmir. Today, the world should take up this as a major day of reckoning. Why is India important? Perhaps some of you know that it was in 2005, not today. It was in 2005 when the United States government, the then government under President Bush, and the United States Congress, both the House of Representatives and the Upper House Senate, decided to have an agreement with the United States, a defense agreement which they have never written with anybody else. No treaty of that type has been taken up even with NATO. And you saw recently what Joe Biden did. We thought with Joe Biden coming in, he would be more humanitarian in his outlook. What has he done? He again called the Quad, Japan, India, Australia, and the United States. They had a talk. And what was the objective? Only one: how to confront China. So the new lines are coming up. It used to be the Soviet Union against the United States. Take up your seats. Now the new evolving power game is going to be the United States and China. And Pakistan, in my opinion, stands squarely with China. The time has come. We want normal relations with all other countries, Russia, United States, all the Muslim countries, Saudi Arabia, Iran, the UAE, the rest of them. But most of all, we must remember one thing. Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah fought for the sovereignty, independence of the country on one issue, that we can compete with the world. The challenge for today's leadership in Pakistan is that we have to have institutions of learning which are globally competitive, because China has risen only in 4 decades because Deng Xiaoping, the then leader in 1978, after Mao Zedong died, Zhou Enlai died, 1976, he decided extraordinarily intelligently well, where China today has a population nearly 1.5 to 2 million who was educated in North America, nearly 750,000 educated in Europe. They are the base upon which China today has built up that strength. We perhaps have to do that within our own order, within our own sovereign state, create those excellent institutions of excellence in the real sense. And where does excellence come from? When you have a faculty of that standard. That's the base. That is the requirement for Pakistan today. And I feel, for one, the Honorable Prime Minister and his team want to go that way. Partially, they have succeeded, but we must fully succeed. And when I see that name of Junagadh today, It warms my heart that after being dormant for so many years, it is this government of Honorable Imran Khan and his colleagues which hopefully will vibrate in a speech in the UNGA, United Nations General Assembly. And I, for one, are looking forward to hearing the Junagadh name echo in the largest arena of the world. Vox Populi, the voice of the people, will decide the future of Junagadh. Thank you very much.